Welcome back to Society Case Files. My name is Robert, and today I'm going to talk about the game Vampire: The Masquerade Swansong. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Otherwise, I'm going to dive right in. Swansong is a sort of Detroit Become Human style game. It came out in 2022, back in May, and it has a 66 score on Metacritic for the critics and a 3.7 for users. It wasn't all that well received. The positive here is that it's a good game for fans of World of Darkness who are willing to invest time and energy to solve its puzzles and experience the narrative. The game can be needlessly complex, and the writing isn't always evocative as it aims to be. I mean, that's not the best. And then this person who gave it a 40 says, it's a never-ending story, a game with too many half-baked ideas where the story and mood of the series just hold the door to correctness and superficiality without a deeper gameplay experience or at least uniqueness. I would say that's fairly accurate. The idea is that you play one of three characters. You've got a Ventru, a Toreador, and a Malkavian. And each of these characters are embroiled in a situation where the vampire hunters have attacked one of their havens, and now they're trying to sort of reel from what happened and figure out how to fix it, basically. And each section is basically like a little chapter where you go to a location and do a whole bunch of stuff. Sometimes you're just talking to people. Sometimes you're kind of investigating around. Often you're doing puzzles that are quite honestly not good. I did not enjoy them at all. Even the conversations were a little frustrating. And then there's this sort of illusion of role-playing because you have a character sheet and occasionally it'll allow you to use a power or use a skill. And then there are times that it's super obvious that there is literally no way you'd be able to pass it, especially at the very beginning of the game where you haven't really used many. It'll offer up a completely pointless skill test that you're definitely going to fail. It's just weird. It's almost like it wants you to cheat to see what would happen. And honestly, I almost thought about it at one point, but I just didn't really want to go back through the game again. I did beat it because I'm a vampire sycophant, but in a lot of ways, when I saw it coming out, it was just on the sort of cusp of the Vampire Bloodlines 2 having all the drama that basically sunk any idea that it was going to be coming out. And this either felt like a game to placate us or an alternative. And it was neither. I mean, it really wasn't. It's just, I don't even know what to say that wouldn't just be flat out mean to the game. It's just, I don't know. It could have been a lot better. Like, for example, I've played the Detroit Become Human and some of those other games that came out like that, and they were actually pretty good. They had some strange logic to them, but they were pretty extensive, to be honest. And they did spend a lot of time making sure that your choices meant something. That by the end of the game, it was rough, the kind of stuff that could happen. And Vampire has some different endings, but they don't really matter all that much. And that's kind of a problem. And then couple that with the fact that it's now several years old, has terrible reviews, and it's still $50 on most platforms. I mean, you could get it on Fanatical for $36.97, but even that's way too much. How Long to Beat has the game down for 15 and a half hours for the main story and 29 and a half for completionist. I call BS on that. I don't think there's a possible way you could spend 30 hours on this game, but maybe I'm completely wrong. If you've played it and you've seen it all, let me know. And if you enjoyed it, let me know too, because quite honestly, as I played through it again a little bit to get some footage, I just didn't even see the appeal I found the first time. I mean, some of the characters are cool. I love the idea of the Malkavian. Her character is really neat. I like, actually, to be fair, I could just make this easier. I actually like the three main characters. And part of the crime about this game is the fact that it could have been great and it could have been really fun. But part of the issue is that it came out in just the perfect time to be sort of looked at as a Bloodlines 2 bridge. And considering what Bloodlines 2 promised, it makes it very difficult to go into this game and not be hypercritical of just about everything. Now, isn't it ironic, though, that Swansong had role-playing elements and a character sheet and things to spend points in, and I don't think you're going to see that in Bloodlines 2. In fact, it seems pretty clear that there's not much role-play in that at all, and that it's just an action-adventure game. So it's kind of funny that Swansong came out, had sort of some half-baked ideas that felt like they were trying to draw some interest from Bloodlines 2, and then, you know, made a basically a walking simulator with some small action elements. And then we turn around and we get Bloodlines 2 finally after several years. And it turns out to be a game that is so far removed that Swansong looks more like the original Bloodlines than Bloodlines 2 does. I'm not entirely surprised by that, but it is very interesting. And you know what? I'd just say it. I think it's kind of sad. You know, somebody commented on the video I did for Bloodlines 2 that spawned me doing this. And they were talking about how the devs said that the story of the game would span over 8 nights and that the playtime is between 20 and 40 hours, depending on how much of a completionist you are. If that's the case, and if I'm wrong about Swansong, if you really could spend that much time on it, then Swansong is as long as the new Bloodlines game, which is crazy because Bloodlines 2 is sort of a, I don't know, I guess at this point it's a AA title, but it certainly looked like AAA when I first saw those graphics way back when it was going to be released before with the proper storyline. The comment also mentioned that the developer that ended up doing Vampire had their own idea about doing a vampire game, and then they were basically forced into using Vampire the Masquerade, I guess. I don't know. It's a sad thing if they were forced to do Bloodlines 2 when they had their own idea, because the name Bloodlines 2 comes with a whole slew of expectations. And if they would have been able to do their own thing, name it something else, you know, it might have received the same sort of, I don't know, blow that Swansong did, but at least it would have been their take, and they have been successful with their other games. So they're burdened with a sequel that has tons of expectations, and I suspect most of those won't be met. And bringing it back to my revisit of Swansong, I think that's the case there too. When I watched the trailer, I was like, these graphics are a little janky, but you know, they're really trying and they've got the atmosphere down. It does feel like World of Darkness. I'm excited. I'll give it a try. I mean, I didn't even know it was coming out until it was out, which was really funny. No hype at all there. And then when I played it, I was like, it's at least a vampire game. But I mean, that's about as far as I could go with it. I wasn't like raging out angry that I played it, but I was not like super happy either. It wasn't all that much fun. It was more like a vampire distraction. Like watching a really terrible B movie. In some cases, it's amusing, but for the most part, you just go, well, I guess that's the best we're going to get when it comes to vampire stuff. And unfortunately, that is what Swansong was. It's like B vampire movie that is the best we were going to get at that point in time. And maybe that's what Bloodlines 2 is going to be, is just the best that we can get at that moment. Which effectively means that we're not going to get another Bloodlines 2 if it does turn out to be terrible. And considering some of the comments I've been reading and reviews and stuff, I'm imagining it's not going to do the best. And Swansong also pretty much didn't really garner that much positive attention, so I can't really imagine we're going to see a sequel to that either. And once again, we're going to be back to a whole lot of nothing when it comes to Vampire the Masquerade for gaming. We do have the game The Blood of the Dawnwalker coming at some point. I think that's sometime in 2026, and that looks pretty good. Sadly, it's, you know, not Vampire the Masquerade, but it still looks like it'll be quite a bit of fun. They're calling it a AAA RPG. Same people who made, or some of the people who made The Witcher, has that kind of feel to it as well. But I don't know. I mean, beyond that kind of thing, I don't know. I have very little faith or hope in the future of Vampire the Masquerade as a video game platform. And that's a shame. It's a really cool setting. And I think that the right hands could do a great job. Maybe someone like Larian Studios or, I don't know, even Owlcat or maybe the Obsidian could get a hold of it and do a game, I think that all of those folks would probably do a pretty fair game, honestly. I mean, especially if it felt a little bit like the Outer Worlds or like I say, Baldur's Gate 3, and it was just a little bit more of a top-down RPG. I don't know. I think I'd be okay with that. But chances are slim, in my opinion. But what do you guys think? What's your opinion of Swansong? What's your opinion of the future of Vampire the Masquerade as a video game platform? Let me know in the comments. This is Robert with Society Case Files signing off.